Hey everybody, Arthur here with a nice one-on-one with an awesome guest that I have going on. He is right this side of me right here, Bobby Vala. And we had some technical difficulties because we were sort of chit-chatting, and then I realized that people are like, hey, this stuff isn't even going. And yeah, that was my fault. That was my fault. And then we were really having a good conversation. But I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Bobby.
What's up, gang? Yeah, I am Bobby Vala, and we missed that really good intro. You know, you said really nice things about me, like I was a myth and a legend, and I didn't agree and stuff.
Yeah, and sort of going back to when I said the myth, the legend, and everything like that. Because he already said he was a man, so that's one thing. But what we were really talking about is just like some of the things that he's doing with the Action Force. I feel is revolutionary, and it's something that he can really hold up. That's like he can walk away with the trophy that nobody can take away from him, which we will be diving into throughout the live stream. And sort of we're going to jump into a little bit of, I guess, a quicker version of what we talked about.
No, go over it again.
I guess, back to what we were saying, like, what was the first action figure you ever got as a kid?
The first like real action figure, I think it wasn't like one figure. I've like met like a few really early memories of figures. And I remember when we moved into a new house, I got a bunch of older brothers, and the house we had moved into had a sandbox in the backyard. And like the day we moved in, me and my brother were digging in the sandbox, and we found an arm to a He-Man figure, and then another one, and then more parts to it, and we ended up like building Roboto. And I remember that being like the first He-Man figure I'd ever had, because we when we found it in a sandbox. And then I got Duke at a church flea market, and I found him. He was 10 cents. And back then it was like wild, because Duke was like this mythical figure for me, because he was a leader at G.I. Joe, and I'd never seen him, and none of my friends had him. And I was like, holy crap, Duke, like, this is amazing. And like, I took that figure everywhere. I took him to school with me in my lunchbox and stuff. A Superpowers Batman I had, that was a big one. And then a lot of memories I had revolved around 89 Batman, because I was 6. This was like prime time for me. And 89 Batman was amazing. It was the first movie, like, I remember like my parents taking us to go see, and I got in the Toy Biz figures. So like that was a big time for me, was collecting like 89 Batman stuff. But those few memories early on like that are ones that are always going to stick out for me as far as like early toys.
And those are really good memories. I feel like it's just like the youth now, just they don't get to experience it.
Yeah.
I remember having a older Batman. I don't know if it was, I think it might have been one in that series of the 80s Batmans. It was a Batman figure where he had like the belt that elastic could pull out, and then it would sort of like retract.
Yeah, that was the 89 Toy Biz Batman. Yep.
So I ended up like, his legs got broken off. And so he had no legs, and he had his arms and stuff. And I just remember I would still play with them and like use the belt, and I'd latch it on, and that's how he traveled around. He was just like a legless Batman. Because I mean, as a kid, I beat up a lot of my figures. Like I started getting better, but a lot of times, I mean, we were at the age you climb trees with them, or you're in a sandbox, or you're digging a mud puddle hole thing, and they just get lost.
We treated toys like toys. There was no collecting back then. There was no really collecting before us. Collecting didn't start for us until like we became like teenagers.
Yeah.
We realized like collecting was a thing. But back then it was like we just had toys, man. We had fun with our toys.
I remember 2 figures I buried alive. So I ended up burying him in my driveway. And one day I went to go back, and I could never find him again. So Snake Eyes was buried. And I made a burial for version 2 Wild Bill.
Ooh.
Like, I don't know why I felt like I wanted to dig a hole and put him in there and hide it. I don't know. And
I would bury my guys. Like, if they died in battle, like, I would bury them. So I was all about that.
Sometimes, and then you end up, that's how you end up finding your Roboto from He-Man and stuff like that,
Exactly.
Or like me finding, when I was visiting my uncle, finding a Zartan that was missing a bunch of stuff, but it was still Zartan.
I dream about like finding toys somewhere. I remember like before me and my wife bought this house, I remember we're going around, we went to like this one open house, and it was like an older house, and down in the basement was like a dingy basement, and they had like this weird bar like built into the wall and stuff. And the house, it looked like no one had like touched it. Older people were living there, so like nothing was there. Everything was covered in dust. And I remember under the bar was a Prince Adam, and he was covered in dust, literally like probably 30 years of dust. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this figure's been here from like when a kid put him here. Like, this figure wasn't just put here recently. And I told my wife, I said, watch, see if anyone's coming down the stairs. I remember like taking him and just shoving him in like my hoodie pocket. And we get out of the house, and she goes, you found a toy, didn't you? I was like, yup. And I showed her, and she goes, it's all like beat up and trash. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's like the thrill of like finding something, you know? It doesn't have to be, you know, mint condition. It's just the fact that, you know, you found something that feels cool. You know, there's something special about that.
And somebody else would have got that house, saw it, and threw it in the trash.
Exactly.
And that's sort of what a lot of, I feel like now with people that had collections, or their kids of kids had collections, you know, things like that. I feel like it's at the point where they don't even care if it's a garage sale. They're just going to throw it in the trash, or,
Yep.
you know, and you might get the ones that put the effort into, you know, giving it to Goodwill or something like that, but it's probably far, you know, far away from them to actually put the effort into doing that.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, we're talking about before we weren't live was about like finding stuff in the trash. And like I found a Terradrome. I found a Terradrome like a mile from my house, and I carried that thing all the way home. It's like we were saying how, like, you know, it's not like that now. It's like everyone thinks something's worth money. Back then, people were just like, oh, kids outgrew it, or oh, we got to make room for next Christmas. Oh, let's just throw stuff out. You know, you're throwing out toys. It's like I had cousins that I remember were like well off, and like they did like a barbecue like every like Memorial Day or something. And I used to love going there because they had every like WWF LJN figure, but then also in their attic they had like every single Star Wars playset. I mean, like the cardboard ones, like the Hoth and the Jawa playset. They had everything. And I think now, like I don't talk to them or anything like that now, but I think like, man, I wonder what happened with all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that he's like, yeah, I got a bunch of Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff. It's in the attic at my mom's place. And I'm like, why don't you get it? I don't really care. And it's like, well, to give it to me. Nah, you know, it's there. I'm like, well, what are you doing with it? It's up there melting away in the heat of the attic. Like, come on. Man.
That's why, like, you see these people like going to just clean out people's attics and stuff like that. Like, you know, they put like ads on like Facebook or in the, you know, in the paper or something like that. They're like, I'll clean out your attic, because there's always like that one chance they're gonna go find a house that has stuff in the attic. So if you clean out 10 houses and then that 11th one has some collectible shit, you don't mind cleaning out those previous 10 houses, because it's like you were waiting for that one that had stuff in it, the old person that didn't have kids anymore and just had cool stuff in the attic.
Right. And then they'd get it and they wouldn't keep it for their own collection. Then they would skyrocket the price and toss them on eBay.
But it's like those days are like almost gone. Where like you're not going to have people with just lost treasures in their attic anymore that they don't know about. It's like we're starting to get to that point where it's like our parents, our grandparents, like that stuff just doesn't happen anymore.
Right. It's like something happens to us, like all this stuff will either be, you know, sold, or it'll be put into a tote, then handed down to children or something, you know. It's not like, oh, here's a bag of stuff that your dad used to have, or this is stuff that you grown up. It's sad.
I told my wife, I said, if anything were to ever happen to me, I was like, here are 3 people to contact to let you know exactly what this collection's worth, and they will help you sell
it. That's pretty much what I did with my wife. I was like, you know who to reach out to. They will tell you what the price is, you know, because at that point it's not like, hey, you know, I'm sure they'll select a couple pieces for the children to keep and stuff like that. But then it's like, you're really looking at, these have value. This can help you with bills. It can help you with, you know, a lot of things. And yeah, that's some deep stuff right there. It's just like, man. But I'm sure there's some people that are like, I'm gonna bring it all with me, just pour it all into the
you buried like a tomb,
right, in a detolf.
Yeah.
So
just cement the door and just leave me in here.
I mean, like a Egyptian tomb type of scenario. Yeah. It's like with everything that you've experienced as a kid, even what you may pick up now, I mean, what really triggered you to bring in Action Force and say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make a Kickstarter for it?
Well, when I got laid off from Hasbro, I like, you're obviously sitting there thinking, well, what do I do now? I thought like I wouldn't have to be in this situation, but it's like, to me, like the toy industry was it for me. I made a bunch of life changes to be in the toy industry. So
you got tats that make you a permanent toy.
Yeah, I got, my my double elbow articulation there. But I knew that I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to change professions or anything like that. And plus, there were like other toy companies out there. It was a bummer. I had to, go and look for jobs at other places. But then, a good friend of mine, he's like, why don't you do your own thing? I'm like, I don't know if I could pull that off. He goes, listen, look at these people. They're doing it. These people are doing it. He goes, you could do it way better. I was like, I don't know about that. It was something I was very nervous about. Like, it wasn't something I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. Like, it took me a while to kind of think it over, like, because a lot of people that have done Kickstarters, you've seen it. It's like they do it and they don't really understand toy production or what it costs to make something, or the added expense that goes into pre-production, not just the production of the figures that you get the money for Kickstarter for. So people don't understand this. So they get into it and they think, oh, I can make toys. Look, so-and-so, they did a Kickstarter and it was successful. I can do this. This is easy. So you got into like 2015, 2016, you had this wave of people thinking everyone can do a Kickstarter, and you had a bunch that failed and a bunch that took 2 years for their product to come out. So I knew what it took to make a product. And I was like, oh, there's a lot that goes into it, it's not easy. It's not just something you could just do and hope people pay for it for you. It doesn't work like that. It's not just like, oh, I can do a Kickstarter and, I'll get the people to pay for it. It's like, no way, man. There's thousands of dollars that go into it to get your models made to even just start your Kickstarter. So, that was just kind of like all right, can I do this? And also like, well, what would I do? And that was the easy part, because I knew that when I had worked on a 6-inch Joe line that got killed, I said that was a mistake. And I knew that they were working on one again, but I said, theirs isn't going to come out for a while. And I figured, well, I can kind of put it out there and like test the market and see what people actually think of a 6-inch military line. Cause I knew that there was this gap, but I also knew it was coming. So it was sort of like okay, I can get this thing going, and Joe will kind of help do it. So the first Kickstarter did fail, but I'm okay with it because it taught me so much, and I'm glad it did, because the line's so much better now than it was then. But also, it's like it kind of happened the way I had expected it to happen. This was going to come out. I was going to work on it. Joe was going to come out, and all the people that were kind of hating on 6-inch military when my thing happened, they were like, oh, I'm only a 3 3/4 guy, only 3 3/4 guy. And all of a sudden 6-inch Joe comes out, and all those people are real quiet now. And they're all buying 6-inch, and 6-inch flying off the shelves. And I'm like, because I knew, because people wanted it. There was a need for it. And I knew that need was there, which is why we should have done that line when I was working on it. But now it's like, that's why I did my line. And it's like, I feel like my line has helped Joe, and Joe has helped my line. So it coexists as much as I don't want it to coexist, but it does, and it helps. So that was kind of the gist of how it all went down once I got out. So it's like I got laid off in October of 2018. I kind of fucked off with my friend for like a month, and then I got serious about doing stuff. Started the company literally on like January 2nd, and then started working on designs and stuff like that. And the important part was getting the factory lined up. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have a good factory lined up. So a good buddy of mine who I used to work with at Hasbro, used to work with Boss Fight, he partnered with a factory. So he's out in China. He's a great partner to have because he knows the inner workings of what makes a figure great. And he's got all this experience. Plus it's like that language barrier isn't there because he's over there in China. So once I said to him, like, hey, I got this idea. This is what I'm doing. What do you think? And, he gave not like his blessing, but he like kind of was like, yeah, this is a great idea. and he knew my experience, like, you know, because he gets a lot of people coming to him saying like, hey, I want to start a toy line. Like, oh, it's easy, I can start a toy line. And he's like, yeah, those people don't know what's going on. He goes, you came to me with a plan and like a package, like this is how I'm going to do it. This is what we're doing. This is series 1, blah, blah, blah. So he felt good about taking on the project for the factory. So once I got the factory lined up, then it was kind of, then the snowball happened.
I mean, I would say that I was one of those guys that was like, man, 3 3/4 only all the way, you know. But I can't really say I was like that, because I mean, I did fall for some of the Sigma 6 figures that came out, you know. But I was like, no, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not going to do it. And then they did it, and then I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. And then you start getting into the figures, and you know, when I first got them, I was all like, yeah, these are awesome. And then once as a reviewer, you start diving into them and you're just like, oh, these are great, but what's all this? And then it's like, and then you came just out of nowhere, just like, this is what I'm doing. And with what you're doing with Action Force, I was just like, you're doing it the right way.
I appreciate that you think that. Yeah, it's like, yes, I did kind of come out of nowhere. And I thought like I had this bigger following than I actually did. Like I thought people knew me from Hasbro, and, you know, but really I didn't. So it was like, it came out and people were like, what is this? And, you know, so the second time around, the second Kickstarter, I got more out there, and I got guys, you know, reviewers in early to look at like prototypes and kind of help get it out to people. And I still don't think it's like out. Granted, when I announced Sergeant Slaughter, like it went mainstream. It took it to like from this little niche company to this mainstream player now. So I believe I'm there. It's just that there's still a much bigger audience that I've yet to kind of get out to.
And that's why, you know, I myself reached out to you. I mean, with watching Infinity Equation and stuff like that. You got always watching you guys going live and stuff. And I'm just like, man, I was like, more people need to be aware of what you're bringing to the table, because I feel like a lot of companies get smothered by all these hype posts because somebody's coming out with the Jonah Jameson figure that's we've already had the head sculpt and shit. And it's like, everybody's saying, oh, I'm getting it. And it just drowns out everything. So
yeah.
It's nice to see, you know, you got, you know, Laser Pants that's always pumping stuff up, and that's what we need to do as collectors. I feel is find something that is amazing or great, something you could be passionate about, and be able to lift it and bring it to people's attention, and be like, this is the future. This is awesome. This is what we should expect from figures, you know. And that's sort of why I reached out to you. I'm like, we got to do a one-on-one. I want to help, you know, get the word out there, because I've watched you do your reveals of your stuff that's came from the factory, your little samples and all that stuff. And it's just like the last one you did, it just like punched me in the face so hard. And I'm just like, you kidding me? And again, I had saved like photos and stuff for what I was talking about, but it's just like some of the stuff that you're doing is just fantastic. But before we get into going into photos, I got to get this out there. So Action Force, you went with Action Force. Is this the same Action Force that has like Baron, Iron Blood, Red Shadows type Action Force?
Nope. So the way it works is, so there's trademark and there's copyright. Trademark protects a name of something. So like the name Action Force can be trademarked. The logo of Action Force is protected by copyright. The design of Baron Ironblood, protected by copyright. So I can never, if I wanted to, I can buy the trademarks for Iron Blood and make a new Iron Blood, but I can't just take what they did and do it modern, because the copyright protects that. So copyright lasts forever. Trademark only lasts if you are doing something with it. If you don't, it kind of goes away. So Hasbro let the name Action Force go abandoned in 2005, but they hadn't done anything for years before that. So it had been laying dead for forever. So I looked at it like, listen, you have this name with this rich history, and it was so important to Joe fans that it shouldn't just kind of lay dead. It needs to live again. And I know a lot of people were upset that I I kind of created this new Action Force. Like, oh, he's just like, you know, ripping off Action Force. It's like, well, I guess you could see it that way, but I see it like it was dead, and Hasbro had no plans to ever do anything with it. I took it and I rebooted it and I gave it life again. So it's something new. It's something totally different. But it now is it's part of history. It's part of the history of Action Force. I think it's even on the Wikipedia page, which is wild. But you know, it to me it was important to have something like that live on. And I don't. It's hard to, you know, have every toy line live on because, you know, some things don't sell. But it's like you see like Super 7's trying to revive toy lines and other people are trying to revive toy lines. But Hasbro has so many of these toy lines that they just aren't doing anything with. And you know, someone's going to be clever. Someone like me is going to come along and be like, ooh, this, you know, the trademark lapsed on this. So I'll take that from them. And then one day they're going to be like, oh, we should go do that. And they're like, oh, well, we can't because someone over here kind of did that. And they're going to be like, oh, what the fuck? So and it's like I did that with Steel Brigade. It's like, listen, Steel Brigade's my all-time favorite Joe. You think I'm not going to do a toy line and try to get my favorite Joe on the line? You crazy. So when I realized, like, holy shit, this is available, I snatched that up so fast. And the time that I was doing that, they were just working on Joe kind of behind the scenes. But it's like, I think they're wise to it now because I've said it enough. But it's like there was a point back like 2018, 2019, you could have purchased probably 3/4 of the trademarks for G.I. Joe. You know, it's like they secure like the big ones, the A-listers, Baroness, Snake Eye, Storm Shadow, Cobra Commander. But a lot of them, like I remember like Serpentor was available. You know, weird, you know,
What?
Yeah. So I'm just like, listen, man, if someone has a couple $1,000s, you can just buy a bunch of trademarks. You know, you have to do something with it. You have to, you know, produce product, but you know, it's out there. So yeah, there's a small percentage of people that are like hating on what I do, but it's fine. Listen, it's not your cup of tea. It's not your cup of tea. But in my mind, I'm just trying to do right by the history of the brand before, and I'm trying to have it live on. It's like if Hasbro decided they were going to do Action Force again, they wouldn't bring Baron Ironblood in. They would bring a whole new line and new characters, and they would do what I would be doing, because it's like you can't just have the same old characters. You got to have something new. You got to have something new to kind of, you know, make the brand fresh again.
And see, and nobody really have you been getting like people trying to shit on Action Force or like give you like flack about it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always like a group of like 10 guys that hate me in the company. It's like it's funny because I know with 10 guys it is. You know, they're all fans of boss fight, so it's fine. But you know, early on, I think people were hating on it more early on than they were now. I think some of the people that hated on it are a little more accepting of it now because they saw like my passion for it and what I'm doing. And that's not just, listen, this isn't just some niche little Kickstarter. Like I've turned this into a company, and this company is for real doing stuff. And it's bringing in people like Sergeant Slaughter, and it's doing comic books, and it's spreading the IP and making it something big, not just a toy line. So I think that, you know, that got a lot of people on board, but I think it's with anything. You cannot have a toy line or an IP that is 100% liked by everyone. And I know that from my years working on Legends and at Hasbro. It's like you cannot do something that everyone will love. You want to, and you try as hard as you can to make sure everyone loves what you do. But at the end of the day, you can't. You know, some people love the product line, don't like me. That's fine. You know, it's okay to not like an aspect of something. People don't like the figures. They don't like that I took Steel Brigade. It's like, it's okay. It's, you know, I get it, but it's like, listen, I've said it from the start. I have the best fans. So the people that love Action Force, man, you guys are rabid. So, you know, I love that my fans are so into it, and it's like, I couldn't have asked for better fans. So those 10 guys that hate on it are drowned out by the thousands of you that love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you're bringing to the table isn't just a separate, like you can mix it with everything in that scale, you know, and it's like everybody's going to need some soldiers. They're going to need, you know, SWAT guys. They're going to need these things. And then it's also G.I. Joe now is whatever, they're international, whatever, but you could have Action Force be a separate, like military squad that, you know, if you're a fan of GI Joe, cool, get your Action Force guys too. They can work together, or they can battle against each other, or they could have a trifecta of Cobra, and then you got, you know, just this crazy battlefield of, like it was when we were kids, you know, sitting on the ground making forts and stuff out of blankets and putting your GI Joes and figures all over the place. Like, it's okay. And I think collectors are so scared to cross pollinate, I guess, is what I'm, you know, if that makes sense.
Well, and I think, people are scared to do that, but I think at the same time, Hasbro is causing them to do that. Like, Joe came out, they abandoned Red, White, and Blue. They abandoned Real American Hero. They abandoned real world weaponry. So it's like people were expecting something and they didn't get it. And I think they were like, okay, this is great. 6-inch show is great. I could buy it. It's back on the shelves, but it's not what I wanted. It's gold armor, it's space gun, Nerf guns, like, so. And then they turn to my stuff and like, look, he's doing real world weapons and this and that. And, you know, from the start, I wanted this line to work with Legends and Joe. Now Hasbro, they're the most consistent at being inconsistent. So none of their figures work with each other. Even their Legends don't work with Legends. Joe doesn't work with Joe. So backpack holes and foot pegs and head balls, everything's all different. However, my stuff will fit with them. Like it'll fit. So like a Joe can fit on the foot pegs of my stands. My backpacks are made to go into a Joe figure. My buddy at the factory, who is,
we can dive into that if you want to, like photos. You know, if you're wanting to.
Sorry, I was jumping ahead.
No, it's, I mean, I got photos and I'm like, man, it's like we could do this whole thing without showing anything and tell people just go check out Action Force Valaverse, go check it all out. But
I mean, I did want to say, you going back to like what you were saying about how, you know, I was showing like the samples and stuff like that. Like, I appreciate that you like what I'm doing with it, because when I did this line, I said I want to do something no one else has done. And I look at it like, no one's showing prototypes. No one's showing behind the scenes stuff. Everyone's like, here's the figure, give me your money. Yeah, wait for your product. Like, no one does this. So it's like, I wanted people to be along for the ride. Like, you guys paid money to help get this thing off the ground. You damn well think that you're going to be involved in the process. That's why it's like, I love these unboxing sample videos, because it's something no one's ever done before. And if I see another company start doing it, I can kind of sit back and be like, look, I had an impact on the toy world. Like, I did that, and I feel like that made other companies stop and think like, oh, wow, that worked. Like, people want that. Like, oh, we should start doing that. So like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do things outside the box. You know, even, yes, Hasbro, Mattel, they're not going to do it. But even companies like NECA, Super 7, even they're not really doing it to the level that I'm doing. Like, I'm showing you guys everything.
Super 7 isn't really, it's like, what are they going to show you? They upscaled the Ninja Turtle and added a bunch of shit in a package and charge you like $40. But so we do have a comment here. Speaking of prototypes, we got Chris Johnston says the Steel Brigade prototype is coming with him.
Chris does have one of my Paintmaster prototypes.
Oh, nice.
I sold him from the first Kickstarter. I had made models for that one, and I had, you know, the set of models, and he was interested in one of them, and, you know, I sold him the Steel Brigade one. So I'm glad that he has it, because he is Action Force as fuck. He's like the world's biggest Action Force fan. So I'm glad it's in his hands.
Awesome. Just sort of going through. Okay. This is from Shoki Reviews. He's another reviewer, does a lot of Gunpla stuff, and he makes he reviews other action figures too. So definitely good channel. But he makes a good question. He says, I wonder if Bobby would be interested in making civilian bodies for the Power Rangers Lightning collection.
Why are they not doing it right over there? I mean, yeah, I think now is not the time for that. I think the line needs to kind of expand a bit more, give it another year or two, and then I could start getting into things like civilian bodies. But also, you know, I wouldn't mind doing like, because you see like real world military contractors, those guys are kind of in like polos and jeans, and then they have like tactical vests and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if I could start, going into that realm. I just think it's a little too early for that, but it's definitely something that's on my radar. So I'm glad it's brought up. I'm glad to hear that, that's something that people want. So yeah, if there's definitely a market for it, I don't see me not doing it.
Yeah, that was actually a really good question. When he said he had a question, I'm like, uh-oh, what is he going to say?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And yes, I'll get some samples in your hands, because if you do some awesome reviews, we'll get some Action Force stuff in your hand. See if you can do a review for us.
Oh, wait, we got somebody saying that you love questions about vehicles.
Don't need them.
And then
who is that? Who is the Bart?
Bart, and then Judge said, "Are you planning on vehicles at some point?"
Fucking guys, man. They love pushing my buttons. Shit, man. They come on Infinity, they push my buttons there. Think they give me a break.
Oh, we actually you see everybody's throwing in questions now. These are some good ones. So we got Timothy Hance asking, ninjas in Action Force?
Someone asked that, I think, on my last video, my unboxing video with the samples. I don't see me doing ninjas anytime soon. You have, Hasbro's doing ninjas with, they're doing bad ninjas with G.I. Joe. They did that bad ninja with Legends. Articulated Icons does an amazing figure. They're a little small. They don't scale as well, but it's an amazing figure. If you don't care about scale matching up perfectly, they got you covered for ninjas. But as of right now, my line is very real world military based, and it's just not a good time to bring in a ninja yet. I'm not saying I'll never do one. I'm just saying that it's not something I'm even thinking about yet.
All right. And then we got, oh yeah, Mac Man, my buddy Kevin, he says, when is the line slated to drop?
So the line is scheduled to ship from the factory, hopefully in March, as long as we don't have any setbacks with production. So if all goes well, and we are on a really good track as far as the production of them, so they'll ship from the factory in early spring. Then they're gonna sit on a boat for about 4 weeks to get over here. Then they get over here and they have to ship to my warehouse, and then I'm gonna go hardcore. I got a team of people waiting to work at fulfilling all the orders. So, a few weeks after that, just to get everyone's orders fulfilled, because, there's over 2,100 orders from you awesome fans. So, I think late April, early May, everything will be out of the warehouse and in people's hands. And then we can open up the pre-orders for Series 2 after that.
That's awesome. I'm sure Laser Pants has like half of those pre-orders,
Yeah, he does. He does, he collects everything though.
Yeah. And then somebody being sort of smart, but it is sort of, if you're saying with the whole trying to keep it more realistic, are you doing Space Force?
You always hear guys that worked on Joe say that when Joe went to space, it killed the line. No, I don't plan on going to space anytime soon.
But maybe what about, I guess I'd be more down maybe down the line. Would you ever think of doing like more like maybe an astronaut style? Like maybe not like a full on thing, maybe like
I don't know. I'd have to see how the line does, and how it does year after year, because Joe went very sci-fi eventually, because I feel like maybe real world military wasn't viable every year. So I think that's the smart thing, is when to look at your IP and the trends and say, all right, let's start to do a shift. Because you see Joe, people don't want sci-fi weapons. So that shows me like, okay, well, what I'm doing is right. But when is going to be the time to start maybe bringing in some more of those sci-fi looking concept weapons, like something from like Gears of War, or some of the concept stuff from I think they did stuff in Call of Duty. I'm not a big video game guy, but it's like, they use like kind of sci-fi weapons and that sort of thing. When is the right time to bring that in? It's like, do we exhaust what we can for real world and then say, okay, we've given you everything real world, but we're going to bring some of this cool space stuff in here and to mix in there? Because I think there's a fan base for both, but as of right now, people want real world stuff.
See, I was more like less sci-fi. Like what I was sort of thinking of, like, there's not really a good, I don't think anybody's made just like an astronaut figure with articulation, like you know, in the spacesuit and the helmet and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It doesn't even necessarily have to have futuristic guns and stuff like that, but like it's just like an astronaut.
Sure. I hear you.
Person.
Who knows? Maybe a cool movie will come out at some point, and I'll get the license for it. And I'll do like cool movie astronaut figures. But I think we missed the astronaut trend because you had The Martian, and then you had what was the movie with Matthew McConaughey, the Chris Nolan movie?
Oh no, I didn't watch that one. I watched The Martian for sure because that was amazing.
Yeah, but it was like you had that trend that a bunch of Martian movies, all like astronaut movies, all at once. You know, so I think we might have missed that trend.
Right. Somebody is got Timothy Hans saying anything like Navy SEALs or water related experts.
You know, I got something planned. Yes. Yep. Listen, if it's real world military, you know I got plans for it.
That's gonna be awesome. Somebody keeps saying
Halo jumpers, SEALs, ghillie suits. Ooh.
Oh, they're saying it's Interstellar was the movie that we're talking about. All right, so let's dive into some photos I sort of accumulated up. I had like, I kid you not, like I had like a little sort of like a script thing that I was going by, but that's sort of out the window. We're just sort of winging it now. So
shooting from the hip.
So let's bring this up. Okay, I think that turns out. All right, so this and everybody that's watching. Oh wow, there goes that. This is what punched me in the face. So when you were doing this, showing off the samples, and you even asked the viewers the opinion of, hey, you know, maybe I'll keep this on thing. What do you guys think? And then my mind, I just went.
Fan feedback, man. Listen, this line has been built on fan feedback. Everything from like when I first started. Like, I don't like butterfly joints. Like, I don't like the way they look aesthetically. Like, they're great for when you're posing and stuff like that. But originally, my figures didn't have them. But I kind of put it out there like, hey, what would you guys rather butterfly joints or not butterfly joints? Because like articulated icons, they don't have butterfly joints. Some lines do. So I put up like, you know, one of those, you know, Survey Monkey thing kind of posts, and it came out. People want butterfly joints. So I ended up changing it. And it's like, even like figure selection, I moved the figure up in the Kickstarter, but it's like, I put it to a vote, you know, it's like all the moves that I'm making, it's like, it's all about what you guys think, because this line is not just for me. Yes, it's my line. Yes, it's my baby. Yeah, I'm kind of calling the shots, but it's like, I want you guys to know that you had a hand in deciding the directions we go down, because we're a team in this. You know, yes, I'm the ultimate decision maker, but I'm here hearing, you know, your voice. So it's like, yeah, like I knew from the start that the backpacks had to have a back panel that was glued on, because you can't have a part that thick, because then there's shrink, and then it you know, it's very heavy. So you create this back panel so you can hollow it out on the inside. Now I will say that the Lady J came out. I saw that you could store things in the backpack, so it's like that was kind of in the back of my mind. That down the road I wanted to do, you know, a backpack that was functional in that sense. But as I was doing it, I'm like, holy shit! And I think someone asked the question, like, can stuff fit in the backpack? I was like, well, let's see. And sure enough, everything fit in the backpack.
And I mean, and you're again sort of saying like you saw the Lady J thing, but you're doing this right. These aren't little predetermined little ports that you're plugging shit into.
Yeah.
You're like, what are these? These are like the armor plates or something here?
So that's the helmet. That's the
helmet.
Oh,
that's the helmet.
And the ear covers are at the top. So basically the whole helmet, the ear covers, and the night vision goggles can fit in the large backpack. And then you can fit the 9mm and one of the rifle mags in that panel right there. And then the smaller backpack fits a little less. But when so the next shipment of parts that I'm getting in will have the hands. So all the figures come with extra hands. So I'll take a picture of what the hands look like in the backpack, so you can store the hands in there. But it was kind of a nice little unplanned thing that happened based on, you know, fan interaction. So now it's like we have functional backpacks. Look at that.
Magazines and a deagle in there, it looks like.
Yeah, yep. The Desert Eagle's in there, and then just a backpack full of mags. And it was funny how the mags just kind of fit in that panel like that. I was like, it was almost like this was planned, but not really planned. What I should have said, I should have just fucked with everyone. Like, oh yeah, I had this plan from the start. I was just saving it for now.
But no, I mean, I think because that was sort of like that stream when you did that was sort of like when you're just like, shit, I'm doing this. let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
start. Let's see what can fit in here.
Listen,
And I
if
mean,
it works and I can affect it, then yeah. So it's like I immediately sent a text to Dave at the factory and I said, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. And then they looked at it and said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. They're adding like at the bottom of the panel with the mags in it, they're adding like a little nub and then a recessed area at the bottom of the backpack so that when say the backpack is on the figure and you go to pull it off, it doesn't pull and away from the panel.
and all the shit just pop out.
So now it's like you could pull the whole backpack off, but then pull the panel from the peg and it'll pop off that way.
That's nice. Yeah, this is just again, this is like revolutionary. It's like it's stuff that you would think that like people would, companies should have been doing already, but no, here's a bunch of shit with your figure. If you're not using it on display, put it in a baggie and store it in a bin. Like but this is awesome. I think
the interesting thing is I ended up working on my first internship at Hasbro, and I was working on the Pursuit of Cobra line, and I worked on the low light figure, and I'd done the accessories, and one of the things I did was that functional backpack, that backpack that opens up and you could fit a spotter scope and things like that, and then the backpack fits on his rifle bag, which then fits on the figure's back. So it was like I was kind of doing the functional backpack back then, but it was something that I'd always thought of like to do down the road. I just didn't, think to do it with this. But
single bullet that came out of his ammo and everything.
Yeah.
I bought 2 of them. I have one on card on my wall, and I gave my other one to my brother. Normally I wouldn't, but I'm like, we grew up with GI Joes, and the first GI Joe we had that breakdown weapon, I think, was Bullhorn.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, had the gas mask and he had the full sniper rifle that broke down. And I was like, I had to gift it to him because I was like, this is our childhood, just modernized and done well. So, I mean, hats off to you for that, man. It's a phenomenal figure.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's like, I knew and I researched snipers when I was working on that figure. Cause I'm like, well, what do real snipers have? Like, how do they transport their stuff? And the whole thing broke down. So it's like, I told my boss that, hey, can I do a rifle that the stock breaks down and the side the suppressor goes on and the scope goes on? And he's like, yeah, we can see if we can pull it off. Sure. And then with the bullet, so I didn't plan the bullet. The bullet was done by Dave Proctor, who is my guy over at the factory. He was a sculptor at Hasbro and he was working on that line. And I remember I would talk to him all the time. And right before I was leaving my internship, he was like, hey, I got, parts for low light to show you. And he goes, look what I did. And he literally showed me the ammo box and he showed a removable bullet. And I'm like, you made a removable bullet? Like, that's mind blowing.
The first thing everybody lost.
Right. It was like, that was the heavy metal mic of our time.
That is awesome. And I am getting, with these bags and stuff, we got some, suitcase, or maybe future ideas of suitcases with money texture and a duffel bag full of money, stuff like that.
I mean, I'm thinking more like when I think about like weapons crates, like the John Wick Mezco figure has like a weapons crate, which is really cool. But I think it would be nice to have something to store all your your weapons in, because I make so many gear packs with weapons. So
just don't make shitty grip tape. and make sure if you're going to put magazines in there that they go into the guns.
Yep. That is very important, to make sure that the magazines fit into the guns. Because I was talking with Dave about that, because as of right now, and you saw in the review video, right now the mags don't fit in the mag wells because they're compensating for paint, because all the mags are gonna be painted. But I told him, I said, I think it's important for the mags to fit in. Like, say you do all black weapons, and he's like, well, we'll just spray the mags black. So we have a solve for everything. So it's going to be one of those things where we're going to make sure that there's never going to be a situation where the mags fall out of the guns.
Nice. And I mean, and if they're painted and they get a little scratched up by pulling it out, I mean, that's normal wear and tear. I mean, that's magazines are going to do that anyway.
But also it's like, listen, if it scratches off that part of the mag, well, that part goes in the rifle. Right. Or it goes into the mag pouch on your vest, like right here. So, you'll cover that scratch part up.
Yeah, and I mean, and in real life, your magazines are going to have those markings anyway.
Yep. My magazines are beat to shit.
Yeah, I was impressed with the photo he sent. I was like, damn, he went out with the big guns. You know.
Well, you know it was because you're like, oh, a fighting pose. I'm like, fighting pose. But then you showed me that sketch of like me with a rifle. I'm like, well, I got that covered. You know? And then I said to my wife, I'm like, you got to take a picture for me. And I came upstairs with my whole kit on, and she goes, oh, that kind of picture. So yeah, and then I had to put the kit on, even though it weighs a shit ton, because I actually have real ceramic Navy issued plates in here. My buddy who is in the Navy, he gave me plates. So this thing weighs like 40 pounds. So this isn't like the small steel that you can get online. Like this is the government issued ceramic plates front and back on this vest. So it's heavy as shit, but I had to, get in the character.
Well, speaking of like with the gun paints, Shoki mentioned, he said you can cast it in silver, paint it in black, matte black.
Yep.
He says purposeful weathering.
You definitely could. A lot of silver molding is something they still haven't gotten right yet. Like, even during like my time at Hasbro, I saw it improve slightly over the years. You're never going to get the silver like you would if you sprayed it silver. The molding of silver, there's something about, if you put too much metallic flake in it, it breaks down the integrity of the plastic. So you want
the gumminess.
You get the gumminess. It's brittle, that sort of thing. So, it's always better to spray silver, but it's definitely a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, let's I'll just go through the pictures I snagged and everybody watching, like there are so many photos out here because Bobby has been just pumping photos and updates and everything. It's out there. So it's like I didn't get everything or else we'd be here all night. But I did want to grab some definitely some key photos that I saw that grabbed me. One of them being your first exclusive.
Yep. Yeah, that's the BotCon Wasp Raider, up for pre-order right now.
Yes, you guys, I will be putting all the links down below for you guys to get everything. But this is the official first ever exclusive.
Yeah, the first of two. I have two exclusives in Series 1. So there's this, which is the first exclusive figure, and then there's an exclusive gear pack for Big Bad Toy. So it's great to be working with partners that see the potential in Action Force, and that's the cool thing. It's like, here I am, Series 1. It's like the line hasn't even come out yet, and I have like Big Bad and BotCon coming to me like, hey, we want to do exclusives, and I have so many other people asking me to do exclusives for Series 2 because they're like, we see this, we see the potential, we want to get behind this. So that makes me feel good because it shows that there's there's a following, and there's long, people believe in this, and there's longevity behind it.
So with these exclusives, are we going to make them like where people are going to have to destroy their computers trying to get hold of these exclusives?
No. And it's like, you want stuff to have some exclusivity and the hunt of it, but at the same time, it's like we're living in a different time. It's not about the rarity of something. It's more about I need to have it. So I made sure that this figure is going to be readily available for everyone. So it's not going to be like, a network or a Target exclusive where it's sold out in 60 seconds, or like NECA thing where it sells out and then you have to wait and then they put it back up. It's like all my stuff, it's going to be available. I'm not saying that there's going to be something that comes out that is very short printed and is going to have that exclusivity factor. There are going to be some of those things out there, but you'll understand when the first one comes out, like why it's okay. Because say something comes out, I want to make sure that you have something in the main line that is comparable to it in a way, if that makes sense. So, it's not going to be one of those things where the line is going to be impossible to collect, because also like they're made to order, but they're not made to order. So all my Series 1 stuff, like, yes, it's made to order for the people that have pre-ordered, but I'm also having more product made because I know there's people out there that didn't get on board or waiting till it comes out to see what's going on or missed it. So they're going to want to buy that product. So I don't want to be like, oh, well, you missed the boat, you can't have it. No, I want you to be able to get the Series 1 product. So there's going to be
like Mythic Legions where it skyrockets up there and people are like, I want your firstborn child.
If someone's paying $75 or $100 for one of my figures on eBay, I'm not winning out. The person's not winning out. They're losing out. It's like the only person making money is the scalper. I want it to be about you guys. You guys have to get this stuff. And I want you to get it from me. I don't want you to have to buy it off of eBay.
See, that's awesome. And I just wanted to show this picture just to show everybody biggest thing. And it's another one that sort of hit at home before the backpack thing. The fact that your stuff is so modular is ridiculous. Like the fact that you could take his armor harness off, you know, and this one actually comes with that swarm kit that normally you'd have to get separately. This is everything all together, right?
Not necessarily. So the backpack, the jetpack, comes in the swarm gear pack, but that's the only thing from the swarm gear pack that comes with this figure.
Okay, so it's the backpack, but then if you got like a normal swarm, it's sort of a figure very similar. You get the armor, the guns, the hands, and all that stuff.
Yep. And all the vests have closure, so they come off. It's not like G.I. Joe figures where they made vests that don't come off. I don't understand why. All the vests come off, so you don't have to ruin your figures.
That a stand that's not overly huge, that's just going to waste space on a shelf. That's beautiful.
I don't understand how like figures don't come with stands nowadays. Like displaying is so prominent that it's like you have to. And so I remember when modern day Joes, they all like from 25th anniversary on, they all came with stands. Then I remember when Retaliation came out, the first wave of figures didn't come with stands. I remember people lost their shit. And it was rightly so. It's like, wait a second. You had 10 years of figures. All of a sudden, they're not going to come with stands anymore. Then the second wave of figures came with stands. Granted, it was a really piss poor stand that they came with, but they tried to make up for it and they came with stands. But it's like, you can't not have stands. It's like when Marvel Universe came out, they had stands. And then all of a sudden, they didn't have stands. It's like, you can't backtrack that. It's like, you can't have something good and then take it away. It's like, you know, guys joke that joke. It's like, you know, you meet that girl who's really great and does things, and all of a sudden you can't not have that because you have all these expectations now. So I knew from the start that it stands important, especially because of the file card that it comes with, and you know the fact that it slips into the stand, and the stand also has multiple foot pegs, so you can vary the pose that the figure's in. So yeah, it was a no-brainer to have stands.
But you're not doing big ass stands like this.
Are those the Mezco ones?
Yes. Like you get a Mezco figure, just as an example, and it's like you got this giant stand, and like how many of these are you going to put into a detail shelf?
They are quite large. Yeah, I can understand if like they integrated something to hold like the extra accessories, but it's just a flat stand.
Yeah,
you know?
And it's not like they can.
Hot Toys has a nice small stand.
And it's not like you can connect those together or anything. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
I understand you can hook up a flight stand or a dynamic stand into it, and it can help support it, but still, it's too big.
Yeah, the Mezco, the round is hard. The round, because round takes up space of a square, but not a square, and it's just large. You know, that's why I felt like this stand size. Like I went back and forth with so many different, sizes for this and orientations, but I felt like this was the best size for the figure.
Okay, so Shoki brought up a good question too. He said, "Are we going to be looking at getting gear stands or weapon racks?"
Yeah, people ask that because some of the pictures that I have, there's a weapons rack in there. That's done by an import company called Little Armory. And, they do a pretty cool thing. They're definitely expensive because they're an import. But it showed me that I think people want that sort of thing. So down the road, not at first, but down the road, I think maybe we can explore that, bringing something like that into the line if there is, a market for it.
I mean, I think it would be pretty awesome if we're able to do that.
Sure.
For the fact of just like having armories, everybody has their Punishers and all that stuff too.
If the line can get to the point where I can do like one big exclusive a year, like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and I can do like a modular sort of armory that has like a small gun range and then some racks and stuff like that, but it's all modular and like that's like the exclusive for the year, I think that would be really cool.
That's also where I was, I think I commented on there, like, are we going to, and this was me being a little bit grotesque, but also for fig photographers, stuff like that. Like dismembered body parts, like battle damage stuff, where we can just have like, and of course you probably have to do it as a con exclusive because of violence, but I mean, the fact of just like, can we get maybe limbs, or are we going to start seeing maybe in the future, like where you're going to have battle damaged versions of these characters that you're making?
That's interesting. I know that when I was at Hasbro, we would pitch doing, like battle damage figures. And I remember like there was always like this stigma, like, oh, battle damage doesn't sell. But then it started to sell, and we started to move, battle damage figures for like the MCU movies. But it's like, is that something that's still something people want? So I think it's important to do the figures, but make sure, like, if you do a battle damage version, you don't want to do the first version of a figure in battle damage. You want to be able to have a clean and a battle damage version. But it's also cool, like with the Kingpin figure, how it had like the beat up face and the regular head. When I did the 12-inch Legends line, the Daredevil had a beat up face and a regular head. So it's
that
cool
Daredevil
stuff in there. What was that?
I said I got that Daredevil.
Awesome. It's cool to do that kind of stuff. So maybe down the road, maybe some alternate battle damage heads. We'll see. Definitely all options to be explored.
Yeah, I just think it'd be awesome as long as it's like realistic style battle damage, not like how we'll say like the land speeder for Star Wars, the Black Series one. They just slap silver globs on it and they're like, hey, that's weathering, and it's like,
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, nowadays they're doing some really, really nice stuff with the digital weathering. If you notice, like the same digital applications they're doing on the faces, they're doing on like other things. So that, I feel like when I get around to maybe doing battle damage, everything like that will be dialed in, and we'll be able to do an application that's done pretty flawlessly.
Laser Pants. He said, are you using the same type of plastic that NECA is using?
No, shit, I sure hope not. No, I don't believe that. And it's funny because I know why he's asking that, because we saw the retro blasting video where they're talking about NECA, but NECA's been this common thing where brittle figures over the years. And I was trying to think about it today when I was listening to that not podcast, but that show and I thought, like, well, why is that happening like that? And it's like, is it a poor factory? But it's like you're getting great deco out of them, so why are you not getting great plastics out of them? So it could be a culmination of things with like the molding process, the way they're not letting things cool right away, they're taking it out too quickly. It's a number of things, but it definitely should be dialed in. But I made sure I was talking with Dave the other day, and I said, listen, because there's some other lines out there, some Kickstarter lines that when you order something from them, they come with like a little piece of paper that said, just be aware if you try to move your joints and they're stuck, just put them in some hot water, this and that. It's like, I get that. It's a little bush league. It's kind of like, listen, we should be making product that actually works. So
I think Legions does it though.
Legions does do it. And I feel like Dave said to me, he's like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you might want to do it just because if I have to do it, I will do it. But I want people to know, like, listen, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure, like, listen, when we have a product coming out that people are spending money on, I don't want to have to tell people, like, you have to
boil your figure
to go, yeah. So, like I said, not everyone is going to, be flawless. And yes, there's going to be some breakage every now and then, but I hope it doesn't get to the point where every figure has to be dunked in hot water. If that's the case, that would be unfortunate. So it's definitely something I am aware of, that when I'm reviewing test shots, if those joints are sticky there, man, listen, we're gonna halt some shit, and we're gonna formulate a plan, and we're gonna make sure that we address this. I know with when I was at Jazzwares with the Fortnite line, they had early problems with those joints sticking, and I remember they told the factory, you have to move every single figure before it is put in the package. So literally, someone from the factory moved every joint before they put it in the package to make sure that those joints weren't fused like that.
Yeah, and I mean, and let's be real with Jazzware's Fortnite figures. Some of that articulation, it works great, and it's stiff enough to where it can still hold
Mhm.
poses and stuff.
Yep.
Not a fan of the weird hand thing that they're doing with their gripping hands, but I mean, it's still the idea of when you feel that quality of a figure in your hands and you feel the articulation feels nice and stiff to where I can have him doing a high kick and it's balancing on one leg. I don't have to worry about the ankle giving out or anything like that. It's a really good feeling,
Yep. Shit,
So
man, that's funny you said that about the hands. I could tell you a story about when I was there fighting with a guy about those fucking hand joints. Oh man.
it's they're ridiculous. They're stiff. I understand it's like, okay, you can get them the sort of grip, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's
It was
not
like
the same as a normal
I could not believe
any hand, like a legend hand, a Joe hand, what
I couldn't believe they were fighting me on it. I was like, is this really happening? Are you guys just fucking with me? Like, you're really fighting me on this? You're really gonna do these grippy hands? It was because of one idiot there. That was why that happened. But what are you gonna do?
They wanted to not put that number up there with articulation, man.
So okay, so you know what? I'll just tell the story because it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. So I get there and I see the figures and I'm like, well, shit. That is the first thing I'm cutting out of this line because I was running the Fortnite brand.
Oh, okay.
So, with my experience on Legends, I was like, shit, man, we're gonna change something. I'm not saying we have to do everything like Legends, but we're gonna enact some changes here. I remember that was the first thing on my list to go. And I remember they had this guy working there. This guy called him a brand ambassador. Basically, he played Fortnite all day. He was like the guy that played the game and would relay to all of us like what updates were coming and what characters are going to be big. But he literally had no toy experience. How he got that job, I have no idea. He was getting a paycheck for coming in there, sitting at his desk, playing Fortnite all day, and trying to like tell us what to design. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I remember they had established that 6-inch line right before I got there. And I remember like, you guys got to get rid of this. And I'm like, well, no, we have to have this high number of articulation. I'm like, listen, anything over like 25 is great. You don't need to get to 36. They wanted those 2 extra articulation points. I said, guys, what means more to people is extra hands, not articulation. We can't put extra hands. I'm like, listen to me. You can put them, you can gang mold the hands. It costs just as much to do articulation in one set of hands as it is to do a set of 3 different hands because the molding process, it's injection molding in the wrist. So you don't have to pay for labor to put the pin through the hand. That's what you're paying for. So you get more for your money if you do more hands. They're like, no, got to have it. And I'm like, why are you guys using an obsolete joint? And like, oh, this is white space. No one's doing it. I was like, do you know why no one's doing it? No one's doing it because Toy Biz did it back in the early 2000s, and it was a shit joint. It didn't hold up. It didn't hold weapons, and it was just stupid. That's why no one does it. Mattel doesn't do it. Hasbro doesn't do it. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. Stop doing it. And they just looked at it like, nope, we have to be different from everyone else. Great. First reviews came out. All people bitched about was how the figure didn't hold a weapon. And I also told them, I said, so you basically have a hand that's in a trigger pose. So when a guy comes with a bat, he's holding a bat with his finger sticking out like this. That's okay? No, just add extra hands, dummy. And I remember I almost won the battle. Like I almost won it. And he got pissed because I was like winning that fight. So he like went to like the head of the company and like told him we're trying to do this. And, they ended up like siding with him because I was like the new guy. So now you guys know I tried to fight for Fortnite to be better figures. And some dumb shit who just played Fortnite all day with pink hair got your stupid fucking hand articulation in there.
That's ridiculous.
And it was like the dumbest shit ever. The dumbest shit ever. Man, I had it out with him so many times just because it's like, dude, you have someone who has experience with this and you're not listening. Like, you fucking go back and play your video games. Leave the fucking making of the toy to me. But yeah, it was so frustrating there. Oh God. So that's why you got those stupid hands.
Well, speaking of not stupid shit, or Stupid Hands. We got
Woo!
comics, man.
Woo!
Damn well drawn comics.
Those are pretty. Yeah, the comics are a special part of the line for me because I had originally I had went to illustration school and I wanted to, be a comic book artist, and that didn't work out. But the fact that now that I can like create comics for my line is awesome. Like I remember when I got these printed up, I was like, oh, this is so cool to like see comics. And like it's great, the whole process of putting it all together, and the talent that I have behind the comics. The people that I have working on these things are fantastic. They're doing such a great job writing the covers, the interiors, the coloring, lettering, putting it all together. Like guys I have, man, I can't thank them enough. When I had issues 1 and 2, they sold out really quick. But now they're about to go to the printer, I believe at the end of this week. I have the files for issues 1, 2, and 3. So issues 1 will get reprinted, but don't think of it as like a second print. Think of it as the new issues of issues 1 and 2 will be like a DVD with bonus features. So you had your regular DVD that came out, now you have DVD with bonus features, because issues 1 and 2 are going to be printed with extra pages, so they're going to have a little bit more content in them. So those will come out. So issues 1, 2, and the new issue of 3 will be up all at the same time on the site sometime in the next 2 weeks, I believe, because the printer said it only takes a week to print. So I might hold it just to, till like maybe like January, the beginning of January, just because like with holidays and everything like that. I know people are running around getting Christmas gifts, things like that. So once all that's over, release some comics, and then literally issue 4, the issue that's just about Sergeant Slaughter, will be out, I think less than a month after that. And now I just kicked off the penciling for issue 5. I am writing issue 6. So it's the comics are awesome, because the comics are really getting the story told, and getting this out there to people to see that, listen, it's not just figures, and there's this bigger story, and it is just it's an IP. It's not just some figures coming out, and they get to see what I'm planning and how this thing's going to keep going. So yeah,
you could see the passion behind it, man. It's like you're a little kid in a man's body. You're just like, I could see you as a kid right now being like, comics, figures, like it's like you're bringing to life your childhood into this stuff, and it's awesome. Like even the artwork on this, I'm looking at just this one with the swarm. I mean, they're straight up looks like something that would be out of any of the IDWs that I've read of Joe's and stuff like that.
Well, that's right. That's Robert Atkins. Robert Atkins, who's doing my covers, he drew Joe. He still does covers for Joe and that sort of stuff. So he's very, very talented. But I couldn't let them have all the fun. Like I saw like these guys doing it, and I got kind of jealous. So I did an alternate cover for issue 3. So it's nice to kind of do that. I wish I could draw every issue. That would be awesome. But who has that kind of time?
You get this stuff all flowing to where you can sit back and let the machine do its job.
Right.
You could probably do that, man.
Yeah. I mean, my passion for drawing is still there. A good friend of mine, Alex Sanchez, he did some of the interiors for issue 3 that's coming out. He's going to be on the Infinity Equation this Friday. He and I went to school together for comics, and he was always so much better than me, and I used to hate him for it. And it's like the fact that he's still now drawing comics, I'm so jealous of him. He's like, yeah, but dude, you're making toys. I'm like, yeah, I know. But it's like, there's something about like drawing comics that my love is still there. Like, creating those live pages. So if I can maybe do a short story, down the road, that would be awesome.
Shoki saying, like I said, get Scott McNeil on board for the animated version.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
See what else I got lined up here. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted this is sort of your baby. This is like this is sort of like your face of Action Force right here. Well, it's covered, but we got Condor.
This is Condor. He's, I guess if there were a Duke of Action Force, he's kind of Duke, but I feel like Action Force as a team, like, yes, he's the commander of Action Force, but all the characters are kind of on an even playing field, even though, everyone, certain guys outrank certain guys, but everyone's important to me. Condor, there's a focus on Condor because, in the story, he is a British SAS operative that is over in the United States as a liaison. So when the divide happens and all the states get split up into republics, he's kind of here like, oh shit, what do I do? And he's forced to either go back home or stay and help. And he decides to stay and help. And, I kind of gave it away what happens in issue 5, but you get to see that story for him, that backstory. Like we alluded to it in issue 2, but you really get to see it in issue 5, how he deals with that. So, he's a cool character because he abandoned everything that he had back home to stay and do the right thing and help what was going on here for like the greater good. So he's like this great, he's like a Captain America in a way.
And I love the look. I love the colors that you chose. Like I love the Union Jack right there.
Mhm.
And I know all this stuff can be removed, like all the holsters, the gun out of the holster, all that stuff. And like I know the night vision up at the top, I think you said it pops out and then you flip it upside down and you can actually use them.
Yeah.
And it looks awesome. And it was is that a scar?
That's a scar. That's a scar.
And I love the detail in the guns, man. You got the rail system on there, the optics. It's what a lot of companies miss out on.
Yeah, well, I think it helps that I'm a gun guy because, I pay attention to, the aspects of it. And it's like, yeah, when you see, like, if you could see those black weapons that I got for the samples, like you can look at them and see the most minute details are in there as far as like the fire selector switch and that sort of thing.
I think when you showed them, you got some good shots to where you could see a lot of the texture on there and the detail.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll next round I'll get some better shots. I bought a new video camera, so I'll get better views of all this stuff. But yeah, the Scar is one of my favorite rifles. That's gonna be a present to myself after Series 1 ships. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna finally buy a Scar.
See, my babies are in the closet. I have 2 AKs.
Okay.
So
okay.
A lot of my friends are doing the ARs and M4s, and I'm like, well, I'm a bigger guy. I was like, let me go with the heavier gun,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And I found an Egyptian Mahdi at a gun shop. This dude didn't know what he had, and I'm like, I was like, you really, this isn't a Wasser, this is something you get at like a sporting goods store. Like this dude had it up there, and I walked out of there with like a bunch of mags, the case, a bipod, like optics, and everything. I think I paid under $1,000.
Wow, what a deal.
Yeah.
What a deal. Shit.
So it's definitely nice to see, somebody having their passion into these figures because it's like we don't really get that much. We get a lot of people are like, well, it's a gun shape. It's a gun, but there's no
a lot of the guns in the line are guns that I own. So it's like, or guns that I want. So it's cool to kind of see that.
Nice. And then I love the unmasked head actually looks good too.
And I like the fact that the heroes, the guys of Action Force, they come with the balaclava head. So it kind of has that troop builder aspect to it, but also they are unique characters.
Yeah, and you can customize them depending on what mission or they're going on. And then this was one I grabbed because they were talking about Action Force. Is this something that you're still doing?
Yeah, that figures in Series 2.
Series 2.
I mean, retro's big. People love retro throwback stuff. So I thought, why not do a little, skirt that line, do a little retro throwback for people.
And I like the name. You're scraping that edge.
Hey, listen, man, walk that line. Don't go over the line. Just walk it, But yeah, no, it's a new character. Crimson Shadow Trooper. New character.
You think you're gonna be able to pull off get that vibrant red? You think?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Man, this is gonna be awesome. And again, you everybody that's watching, when you see this stuff broken down like this, these are all accessories that are all gonna be able to be interchanged on the figure.
Yep.
This isn't just like
mags fit in mag pouches. stuff comes off the helmet, you know, holsters, knife sheaths, that sort of thing. Like, it works, man.
And the great thing when you guys are looking at them, showing these figures and everything, this head could go fit on the Condor body.
Yep.
And Condor's vest could fit onto this, and I could just mix and match whatever I want.
Every male head fits every male figure. It's not like Legends where it's like, wait a second, this is the same figure. Why is the ball joint different?
Mind blown.
Everyone is exactly the same. So yes, you can swap out everything.
That is, and that's another thing that you're doing. And don't sell yourself short. Like that whole being able to cross like mix, you know, do the modular stuff of the accessories. Like you're setting bars, and you may say, all right, I'm doing this because it's like a passion stuff, but like this is what collectors want. This is what I want. Like if I give, you know, my kids a figure, this is a figure I'm going to give it to them. It's like, okay, here's your little bag. If you lose stuff, whatever, like go play with them, you know, and have them mix and match heads and hands and whatever, because I could see people having fun playing in the dirt with these and bringing back that fun factor in action figures again.
That's what's cool to know. I have a lot of people that say like, oh, I got my kids into this already. Like that's awesome. Like to have that generation of kids like getting into something like early like this, it's like that's so cool. Like that's really cool. You know, people bring their kids to the shows, and I had a little girl dressed up as Pandora, and
yeah, I saw that. And you sent her a little like fan kit thing.
Yeah,
like original art or whatever.
Yep.
Which was awesome. Like name a company that does that.
And that's the thing. It's like, you guys are important. Like, so when I see something like that, it's like, listen, I told them, I was like, hey, give me your address. I'm gonna send her something. Like, because they went out of their way to show love for something I'm doing. So of course I'm going to go out of my way to show them my appreciation for that.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's
I
like,
thought that was awesome.
I know, listen, I know I'm abrasive at times. I know sometimes I'm not likable by those 10 people, boss fight crew, but listen, I love the people that love this brand. And, you know, I'm always out there doing stuff for fans that show crazy support, because it's like, listen, man, I appreciate that stuff. Like that's really important to me. So I'm always going to, you know, make sure that I put, you know, the fans first and show them my appreciation.
And I think Laser Pants said that you showed appreciation with Dante. You did some little extra artwork for Dante. So I mean,
well, I told him I was going to draw a big dick on his comic, but then I thought, as a company, do I want a comic out there with big dick on it? Probably not. But I ended up writing something very a sweet love note to him on one of his comics.
And Laser Plants is saying this, and this is I don't even know if I want to step into that realm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so he said, can the male heads fit on the female figures? I demand trans representation. That may be, you know, wave 15 or something.
Well, the good thing is the females aren't until series 3, so I do not have to address that now.
Okay. So speaking of females, that's a small picture.
That is a small picture.
Well, it's Eclipse, and I just had to bring out a female figure. Yeah,
the females are very important to me. So that's why I said that series 3 is going to be an all-female wave. So as of right now, you got Eclipse, Pandora. There's a female Steel Brigade Trooper. There's another female character that I'm working on as well. Eclipse is prominent in issue 3, so you get to read about her. She's a very cool, dynamic character. I just love the way she looks.
She looks badass.
Yeah, very, very cool figure. So I'm excited. I'm really
love this.
Females.
You can have her with it around her neck or having her wearing it. And
yeah, I thought, you know, because it's like, listen, it's like you got the Shemagh, but it's like, you know, guys will wear it undercover and that sort of thing. So I thought, well, shoot, the guy's coming with an alternate head. Why can't she come with an alternate head?
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I also, you know, I wanted to make sure that we weren't just showing all that you're only making male figures. I wanted the people to see that you're doing everything else.
Listen, man, the everyone is really, like, no pun intended, gung-ho about the female figures. You know, they're like hammering me, and I think so. back during the early Kickstarter, I did something where I kind of put her out there as a pre-order to see if she would fund, and she didn't. I think if I were to have done that like now, she would have, but it's kind of too late now, and I've already have plans for her. But you know, the females, it's like the love for the female figures. It's awesome because it's like it shows that I came up with these unique characters that people like fell in love with just by seeing prototypes. So that's why I'm so excited to get those female figures out.
And people need to stop being scared of actually buying female figures.
Yeah,
Like it's ridiculous.
I think you just have to give them the right one that fits with the line. It's like if you have, you know, a Legends female that has magic hands in every figure, I think, yeah, people are going to get tired of her. People won't get
those jazz hands.
Yeah, yeah. But I think if you give people the right figure, I mean, shit, look at that Baroness. You can't find the Baroness anywhere. Granted, she's a Target exclusive, but you know, it shows that if it's the right character, people will want it. You know, it just, you know, when you're dealing with a mostly male demographic in collecting, you know, the females, you have to give them something that they are going to want, you know. But also it's like, listen, there's a lot of female collectors out there, and the females are important to them as much as they are important to the guys are to the guys. So I want to make sure the females are out there so that there's female representation in the line, because it's, listen, the amount of females I have planned, you're gonna be like, holy shit, like, yes, no, there's love for the ladies out there.
Good. I mean, we got a lot of females in the service right now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the thing.
Get their kids a little female soldier, be like, hey, this is, you can play with this figure, you know, while I'm out away or something like that, even though I think it's awesome.
Yep.
And then we're looking at this guy's, he did not make Gung-Ho. So I don't want you guys to think this is an Action Force figure, but everything you see on him is the vest, the little the thigh
strap, the
holster, all of this stuff is a kit that you can get right now. It's on Big Bad Toy Store. I don't even know how I just know Big Bad Toy Store is like one of the main places where you can get a lot of your stuff.
Yep.
Or even through your website, I think, right?
Yeah. Pre-orders are still open through me. They're also open through Big Bad and Dorkside. I got a couple.
So of course, go with Bobby before you go with the others. You know, supporting the company is great. But I mean, you fixed Gung-Ho, and I mean, what's funny is, like, I haven't even got to review it yet. Like, here's mine. Like, still in the package. Like, it's not Gung-Ho.
Well,
this makes it Gung-Ho.
Here's the thing. I didn't want to just start doing a Joe ripoff line and that sort of thing, but I felt like this was a travesty that needed to be fixed, because it bothers me. Like, lazy designing and lazy research bother me a lot. So the fact that some douchebag is designing Gung-Ho and doesn't stop to think, oh, there's a difference between what Marines wear and what Army soldiers wear. So let's just give them an Army hat. It doesn't matter. No, it matters. And that's important to people. Yes, this may be a different Gung-Ho, and sure, he's probably not a Marine on the file card, if they had file cards on the box, which they don't, you know, but people aren't going to think of it as something new. They're going to think of it as what the history of the character tells. And the history tells us that he is a Marine, and Marines wear covers. You gave a Marine an Army hat.
Yep.
And that is like blasphemy. That is like, listen, that's really shitty, lazy designing. So I looked at it, I was like, listen, man, someone's got to fix that. And I knew they weren't going to do it. So I was like, we can fit a Marine cover in the line, and
declassified gear pack. But so the Marine cover first was set to come out with the Weapons Pack Bravo set. I got it in there, and I don't know, somehow I actually knew the size of the head for the figure. I don't know how I guessed right on that. So I was able to get, you know, because that got sculpted up before the figure even hit market. So I don't know. Good thinking on my part, I guess. But we got the hat out there, and then there was still love for that. And, you know, Big Bad was like, hey, we want to do an exclusive. And I pitched this like, hey, why don't we be able to make a classic version of a certain character? You know, so this is the declassified pack, and, you know, people got behind it and love it. And I mean,
That's that.
it's a heck of a set. You got the hat, the belt,
It's
the
fun set.
everything you need. Grenade launcher. You got the muzzle flashes and
Flash
everything.
effect, yep. Yep. So yeah, fun. It's a fun little exclusive set. So at the end of the day, listen, this gear is made for Action Force figures. However, if you are a good customizer and you got maybe some hot water or something like that, and you got a big dude with an oversized head, maybe this will fit on him. I don't know.
And then speaking of fitting on, I did grab some of the pictures off of your Facebook because I was just like, damn, this is like a totally different figure.
The newer picture is way better, where Duke has one of my guns, all my holsters, my vests, like he's all kitted out and all Action Force stuff, and he looks so good. Yeah, everything fits, man. Everything fits.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, and just sort of go through them because there's a couple. They're just the quick little put-ons, his vest. Just showing that you guys can have other figures and they can use the Action Force accessories.
Yep.
And then even the helmets, like that's ridiculous. When I saw that, I was just like, really? Really? And then we get into rollout, which the figure looks awesome. I love this blue that you're going with, like this teal blue.
Yeah, so with the first series, the first Kickstarter, you'll notice that the colors were more grounded. There wasn't a lot of like color pops on them. But then I realized like I was kind of being afraid to throw some color. Like I look at this wall and I'm like, look at some of the color pops they put on some of these Joe figures. Like, don't be afraid to do that, which is why Condor has that blue on his vest. Like 90% of him, I want it to be grounded and have those earthy tones. But then I also wanted to throw in something that makes the character unique. Otherwise, he's just a guy in just black BDUs or something like that. So yeah, with rollout, I wanted like that color pop in there. So I'm glad you kind of pointed that out, because there's going to be stuff that differentiates these characters and makes them unique, because each character is unique.
And that's an ass load of stuff that comes with that, guy.
Oh, yeah. 7 hands, 2 heads, helmet, movable parts, vest, mag pouches.
Right. You guys got that other figure. You can just, get rid of it and replace it with this one. Actually looks like the figure that I'm speaking of. No, this looks awesome. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thanks, man.
And then boom,
man,
boom, right there. Sergeant Slaughter, guys. Everybody watching. This isn't Hasbro doesn't have this. You're not going to get a 6-inch Sergeant Slaughter.
Nope.
But Action Force does.
You can only get Sergeant Slaughter through Valaverse. Sarge. Man, I could do a show alone just on how impactful Sarge was to this line. I'm indebted to Sarge for coming on board and believing in what I'm doing and giving me the opportunity to bring him into the line, because it was revolutionary the day I made that announcement. That's something, when I think about like the building of this company and this whole process, the day I announced Sarge was probably one of the most memorable days I've had doing all this, just because of the way it went down with kind of raining on Hasbro's parade. And then just because it was something that people just didn't even see coming. And it was just like, holy shit. And it's like Sarge did a video where he's talking about being part of Action Force. It was like, what is happening? So, and then everything that kind of happened because of Sarge, it's just been tremendous.
Now, I saw this part on this figure, and then also Nightwalker brought it up too. But he was just asking, are you going to give us a sleeveless Sergeant Slaughter? But it also looks like I can see some flesh under here. So does that mean maybe popping arms off, take this off, and then popping in some just normal arms?
So here's the thing: when you put butterfly joints on a figure, it makes the arms off very difficult. If you are a seasoned customizer, you can do it, but I don't recommend it because it does hurt the integrity of the ball joints. But the figures break at the waist, so you can pop them off, sort of like Mythic Legions does. So you can basically change pants and shirts with everyone. So Karak has bare arms and a tank top. If you wanted to take his torso and put it on the sergeant,
and the heads can just pop right on because it's a male.
When I announced that, because that question was asked very early on. I announced that, all of a sudden sales of Karak shot up.
Hey, that works. And I just busted out some other pictures you had of the Sarge figure.
Yeah, that was a nice Fourth of July picture. That was a fun one to do. So,
but not as fun as this next one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
There are some cool moments I have. Like I remember, I'm friends with Ron Rudat, and I remember taking the Steel Brigade prototype over to his house and got a picture of him holding the Steel Brigade prototype. The guy who designed the original. So it was like stuff like that is cool. And then the fact, like for Sarge to like see his figure and like, like that picture is awesome. It kind of sucks that there's a big G.I. Joe logo in the background, but that's awesome. Like that's going on my wall in my office. It's like moments like that are just super, super cool.
Yeah, we can Photoshop that out.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, it's just awesome. It was. Maybe I should have done that before I brought it up, but still.
No, that's fine. I didn't Photoshop it in the post that I did.
And then you got one of your babies.
Yeah, that's my Steel Brigade. So that was a picture I showed at Joe Fest this year, because that's when I debuted the packaging, so people could see the the box for the figures and what it looks like. And this is the mock-up that I showed, and it shows how the file card slips into the back of the stand. So
are those glow sticks?
Yeah, because you look at what's on a kit, and it's like guys always have crackable glow sticks just to mark their position and that sort of thing. So yeah, they're molded onto the vest. So some guys have them painted in different colors.
That's great. That's great. The box looks great too.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I got a great artist who did the artwork on the side panels, and I got a guy who does all the graphics and putting the package together. I got great people working with me on this stuff.
And I'm glad you're doing file cards. I'm glad. And that's where this next part comes in too. I do like this. I love that you can have that classic check off list of like, this is wave one. And if you want to, and you're not a person that needs to have your box mint and crispy, you can actually take a marker and just be like, check. Yep. As you're getting these figures.
Yeah, those cross sells, man, they were important. It's like you got to see what was coming out and what you don't have. And I knew that from the start, like I wanted to show that. Now, like, yeah, Legends does it, but they do it just to show what Build-A-Figure part comes with the figure. They don't really highlight the figure as like a cross sell to collect them. But I knew from the start, like, listen, gotta have a file card, gotta have a cross sell, gotta have action points. So the package came together fantastic. This is the first image I showed, but after talking with the factory, and we're going to put a hang tag on the box, I didn't want the hang tag to hurt the file card, because you're going to be cutting it out. So we flip flop the file card and the cross sell. So the file card is down and the cross sell is up. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're a mint and box guy, okay, that's not what this line is for. This line is for a play and display collecting. These guys are meant to be taken out, meant to be posed. File cards are meant to be cut out. I want you to have that same experience that you had as a kid collecting G.I. Joe. And back then, we didn't think about collecting. We didn't think about like keeping a figure in a box. We thought, get them out. Whoa, file card, cut it out and save it and trade them. Like, that's what this line is about.
And you have action points.
Action points. Yep. So
have you shared anything on that yet?
I will be the first to admit I do not have a plan for them. However, I wanted them on there so that when I do have a plan for them, they're there to use up. So I will say this: you don't want to throw that box out. And you don't want to keep them, because listen, I'm going to spring it on people, and I'm going to say something's going to come along, and I'm going to say, listen, to get this certain item, you're going to have to turn in your action points, and people will be like, what? So I'm fair warning. Cut them out, save them, keep the boxes, because I may not have a plan now, but I will have a plan in the future.
And something tells me it's just, again, that kid in you of just like mailaways.
Oh my God, I love mail-aways. I mailed away for everything as a kid. If it was on a cereal box, mailed away for it. If I saw it in a commercial, mailed away for it. I mailed away everything because there was that feeling of getting something in the mail was special as a kid because you never got mail. So to get a toy in the mail, like this is amazing. So yeah, you know, the mail-aways are a logistical nightmare nowadays, but I feel like it's something I wanna bring back.
I think it's also one of those things too of just like as a kid you'd get this figure and not everybody would have it. You know, not all your friends would have it. You'd bust out this new figure and they'd be like, "Whoa, what is that?" Like you're the only one on the block that had it because you're the only one that ate that cereal or something, you know.
Yep. I gotta stop for a second because Shoki just said Force Fest. What an amazing name for a con, Force Fest. I'm gonna have to steal that
from Fest
that one day.
Happens, bring your action points. Yeah. That is really good. You know?
That could be cool. Yeah.
You start having your own convention.
I was thinking of so many different ideas, like, oh, what if I did something where, you know, if you came to the convention, you know, because I'm gonna have a con exclusive, but it's gonna be like a con for all the cons that I do for that year, and it's not gonna be something you won't be able to get. You'll be able to get it, but if you bring like your action points to the con, maybe you get a discount on the figure, something like that. So I'm mulling over different ideas for what I can do with them.
See, that's awesome. I mean, again, more than what anybody's really doing. I think the closest modern wise was what Playmates with their turtle line when they were doing like the pizza points.
Pizza points, yep.
Just too bad their figures were garbage. It's like, yeah, I have some of them just because some of their designs, I was like, oh, this is a cool guy. And I'm like, but they don't put paint or articulation or anything. They're like McDonald's toys.
Yeah.
Then this guy grabbed me as well.
He is a fan favorite. Let me tell you something. If there's an anticipated figure, Trigger is the anticipated figure of this line.
Chuck Norris, rock and roll. I mean, it's like everybody, it's just that iconic look to an action like character. Like in any action movie, you'd have a guy that sort of looked like this.
Yep. He's a fun one. He's a cool character. He is also highlighted in a lot of the comics, so you're going to learn about his story like early on. So there's this build to this character. He's a fun one. I know that because he's very like true military looking, so people are really going to want him. And it's like he also, you know, he's got a green tank top, so he can also be swapped with Sarge. Because another thing I'm doing, all of the Caucasian males will have the same skin tone so that they all match if you want to swap parts out. So you don't have to worry about a tone being off on a head or an arm or something like that. We'll all be the same.
We've all experienced that. Like, oh, we got this extra hand. Oh, it doesn't work.
Wah, wah.
Now, is Trigger going to have an alternate head, or is that?
He just has that head. Yeah, he just that one.
I mean, it definitely has a lot of detail and sculpt work and time into it, so I can't imagine you wanting to remove that badass looking head.
No, guys, that is not me. I see some guys in the chat saying, "Is that me?" That's not me. It's not me. However, I didn't think of doing a figure myself because I figured like it's just cool enough for me to do my own line. Why would I need to put myself in as a figure? But then like I showed the picture of me and my kit and stuff, and everyone's like, "Dude, you got to be a figure now." And I'm like, maybe I could do like down the road an exclusive Bobby Vala action figure. Sure. I don't know how stupid that is.
It wouldn't be stupid. You want to know what was stupid? Captain Gridiron was fucking stupid. But you know, having a Bobby Vala figure is not a bad idea.
We'll see. Maybe we'll see.
And then I wanted to show this as well. You know, pretty much these are your, I guess, what you classify them as your army builders.
Yeah, so these are the basic troopers. These are the guys that they don't come in any gear. It's just 2 heads and hands and a stand. So these are the guys that are meant to be used to kind of customize, and you know all the gear fits them and everything can be swapped. So you know there's an urban trooper, a riot trooper, and a special ops trooper. So I give you some variety of what you can do. In Series 2, there's a guy in all green BDUs. I'm probably going to do a guy in all tan eventually. But these are the lower tiered basic troopers that you can get just as like fodder to customize.
Yeah, and I mean this one just showing off like one of those gear sets that you could buy
Yeah.
to basically customize your troops.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? Somebody saying do it, signed with the bullet hole in the packaging.
Yeah. I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, Laser Pants says call him Bobby the Butcher. But I also just wanted to give sort of some of these accessory packs that you're producing. So it's like not only are you making these killer figures with a bunch of accessories, swappable parts, you're also making these kits to add even more to the figures.
Variety, man, variety. And listen, it's first and foremost, it's a line, excuse me, about the unique characters. But I do understand how big the customizing community is, and I want you guys to have a hand in this as well. So, these gear packs are for you guys that just want to create your own character or something like that. But also, it's like, listen, if you want to take Condor and you want to outfit him in something different, the opportunity is there. That's what wasn't really there in the original Joe line. It was like, yeah, you can swap like backpacks and guns, but you couldn't take off like vests and things like that. So, I think this is a cool aspect of being able to, do that. And what I'm really looking forward to is what people come up with for like swapping parts. Like, I got a couple ideas of like photography contests I'm going to do after, series 1 ships. And one of them I want to do is, make your coolest unique character off of, swap parts from Action Force and see what unique things people come up with that I haven't thought of,
Make it strictly your stuff. Don't let them cross
100%.
pollinate from another.
No, 100%. 100%.
And I just sort of took the images, just sort of showing the gear on the figures.
Yep.
And how the mags actually fit in the mag pouches.
Yep.
The knife fits in the sheath. But this next part sort of, to me, again, it's just, I was just impressed. I mean, you're impressed me. And then plus look at the texture on that damn battle armor.
Looks the vest a lot of wear texture on them, which is cool.
But so the pistol, I love the grip on it. Look at that. That's how you do grips on guns, man. It's not that John Wick stuff. That's clean. But and then you got the rest accessories. I should have the next one, isn't it? Yes, this is the backpack. Amazing sculpt work, but the knife in the sheath are underneath the backpack, and it's not interfering with anything.
Yeah, because the knife sheath fits on the vest, and then the backpack, has to fit over that. So
it looks clean
for that room.
Very clean. That's something to me when I was going through it. I was just like, damn. I was like, that's awesome. And then I did want to show off your weapons pack Bravo.
Yep. That's the one that came with the Marine cover. Cool stuff in this one. You get the saw. Because I wanted to get the saw out there before it was released with Trigger because it's such a cool rifle. But the Gold AK was fun to do. So there's some good ones in this set.
Is that a Gold Deagle?
It is, yeah.
Gold AK and a Gold Deagle. Come on, man. You got some face off going on right there.
I wanted this one. I wanted this set. He had 45s. He didn't have the Desert Eagle.
He didn't have a Desert Eagle?
No. So I'll get to that in a second. A funny story about the face off 45s, but this one with the Gold AK and the Gold Desert Eagle is like the street pack. So this one's cool. But so the Gold Desert Eagle, when I was doing the 12-inch Deadpool, he has a 45 in his holster, and we couldn't do a removable gun because Disney said no way. So we had to do it, stuck in the holster. But I said, listen, if I'm doing a gun stuck in the holster, it's going to be a gold 45 with black grips, just like Nicolas Cage had in Face Off. Because I always thought they were just sick looking guns. So that's, when you see that 12-inch Deadpool, just know that's Casper Troy's gun in his holster.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this whole setup. And I mean, I could see in the future you doing something better than this, to hold the weapons up.
Yeah. I mull over ideas all the time of what can be done. The good thing is seeing stuff, and then you get ideas of how you can make it better.
And then showing off the muzzles in.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks good. And that's a great set. That's a great set. All you guys, they're seeing all this stuff, man. You can go pre-order it right now.
For $12, it's a great set.
Look at that. It's awesome. So that's pretty much the pictures that I sort of accumulated as that I wanted to go over just some of the, because again, we would be here all night, and we've already been chit-chatting for multiple hours that I was like, oh yeah, we'll probably be maybe an hour or so, and then I'm like, oh, all right, we'll just keep going with it, and it's been awesome. It's definitely
yeah, man,
been a pleasure to have you on and sort of talk about this, because again, you don't get much of the interaction with toy companies, like action figure companies. Like the fact that you're out there and you're doing all this and putting it out there, and you're opening it up like, hey, I'm going to be going live with my samples as I get them, my first time looking at them myself, and you're welcome to come and check this out with me. And that's, nobody's doing that, man. And then you're listening to fan feedback. It's like, it's great. I mean, it definitely, I don't think that things are going to slow down for you. I think it's just going to get ramped up and ramped up. And that stuff you see in the background, you're going to have probably Action Force figures that could fill those spots.
That's the dream, man. That is the dream. I just want to be able to say, look back and say I did something that impacted the toy world, you know, and there was something that people got behind and people enjoyed. You know, so if I can make me happy, but at the same time, you know, make all you guys happy, that's just as important to me.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, like you're saying, like a lot of people, you know, you're going to have your haters and you're going to have your purists out there, but just like I'm going to say it, like with the 6-inch Joes, so many people were going to crap on those. Look how many people changed their mind once they got it in hand, once they started seeing people actually get them reviewed and stuff. And it's like, I feel a lot of people are going to try to, you know, they might be like, I don't need it. But then everybody's going to be like, you're missing out. This is the hotness.
That's going to be the true test for me, is once people get Series 1 in hand, what is the wave going to be like? Is it going to be like, oh, okay, cool? Or is it going to be like, holy shit, this line is amazing? And then all of a sudden people are like, how can I get it? How can I get it?
I mean, just as long as they don't turn to dust like NECA, you know, I mean, I think they're going to be good. I mean, everybody that's been watching this also, I mean, everybody's been commenting and having a good time with it. I think it's just one of those lines of figures that you got in at the right time, doing something new, and you're pretty much I just picture you just walking down like the hallway, middle fingers up, and doing your own thing, like saying "fuck you guys," like not the fans, but I mean the people that, you know, the negative people that will say that.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they are not stopping me. So they want to bitch and moan, they get bitch and moan. That's fine. You're not going to stop me from doing this line. If it's not your cup of tea, listen, I respect that. That is not your cup of tea. This line does not have to be for everyone, but I've said before, the people that it's for, you guys are awesome. And I thank you for making this line what it is today.
Yeah, that's true. And before we guys we end it, do we have any final questions that you guys want to ask?
Nothing from Ryan.
You're right. Well, Shoki says, by all means, I'll review some stuff. Hit me up. Art can connect us.
Awesome. Love to have you.
You can get the ones after I review them, Shoki. Most def fielding for that fielding for the Sergeant Slaughter. I don't know what that is. I'm just scrolling through really quick, seeing if we missed any questions. I think it's a lot of people just having
Who's talking about Legends? Who's talking about Psylocke and Moonstone in there? Come on. We're talking Force here.
That was Darkinen. Will there be diversity, black, white, Asian, etc.? Kevin, I can answer that. So if you look at some of the alternate heads, especially even with the troop builders, that's what I'm going to call them. I know they probably have their words like the urban trooper and stuff like that.
The basic troopers. Yep.
They have like the alternate heads. They have like underneath the mask, one is Caucasian, I think, and one is black. So
Yeah, because I listen. There's no reason to not do that. If you have the opportunity to do it and get diversity in the line, then yeah, absolutely do it. I think it's interesting that Hasbro put out a Cobra Trooper and didn't do the same thing that I was doing with the alternate heads. It's like you really missed an opportunity to do that, and but instead you want to alienate some of your fans. It's fine, but I don't want to alienate the fans. So that's why I'm doing the characters that I'm doing and listening to the fans at what they want. So I've had tons of people say that's awesome that you're putting in extra heads with these basic troopers, because it's like like I said, there's no reason to not do it. So you have to do it.
Somebody was talking about Terry Crews character from the Expendables figure line had a AA-12 shotgun.
An AA-12. I love an AA-12. They're kind of stupid looking. Like there's nothing to them. They're just kind of like flat face, and their stock is just integrated into the whole body of the rifle. So it's kind of it's not a really dynamic looking rifle, but man, that thing is cool. I remember, was it GoldenEye? Yeah, it was when GoldenEye came out for the Wii, the remake of GoldenEye. They had an AA-12 in there, and just the sound that it made, and you heard the shells, the plastic of the shells hitting the ground after you shot out of it. I was like, I use that thing all the time. I love an AA-12. It's something. It's on my list of guns to get. They're super hard to get out here, because I think that originally they didn't make a semi-auto version, but now they finally do. But the semi-auto version is like more expensive than the full auto version, which I don't understand why. But yeah, it's on my list because I'm a big fan of a shooting shotgun, and I'm on the market for a semi-auto shotgun.
Yeah, my buddy missed out on buying one. Like he had one of those. I don't know which version it was. It was just it was a combat shotgun, and the guy was selling it. He could have bought it for $100, and he just didn't have $100 on him. And he ended up getting his 40 off of him, but it was he just missed it. I was like, man, you should have told me. I would have bought it. Like even it was just having an auto shot. He would have been nice.
Yeah, yeah. A new company that makes one. It's either called the Hurricane or the Typhoon or something like that. The gun store that I go to, they have one there, and it's kind of like an AR-15 platform. It's a little beefier though, but the look of it, the design they have is just it looks like a mean pit bull.
I bet, and it probably has that like banana clip magazine that has all the shells going into it, or is it like a drum?
No, it's a regular just straight mag.
Okay.
Yeah, it almost looks like
straight
one. It almost looks like a big like 50 cal mag that just comes straight down. It doesn't have any curve to it, just because the shells stack on top of each other.
Now somebody is saying, Bart says we need a sniper.
Come on, Bart.
I guess a lot of people about it. A lot of people wanting more guns, which I mean that's going to happen. I mean it's just
yeah. I'm working on the sculpts right now for kicking off the sculpts for Series 2, because Series 2 is going to have a whole nother arsenal of weapons. So I picked out certain weapons that I'm going to have in Series 2. So you're going to get a whole new array of weapons.
And then it looks like, will you make any M9s?
Why not? Sure.
So, I mean, you guys got to realize this is wave 1 hasn't even gotten to people's hands. Like,
don't worry.
This is just the tip, barely the tip. Like he's going to be doing it. And I mean, especially with him being a gun enthusiast as well, he's going to want to turn all his favorites into figure form.
Absolutely. So yeah, the guns are important, and getting as many in there as I can is incredibly important. I'm also going to, for Series 2, you're going to see more modular weapons that, if there was some in Series 1 with like removable mags, but Series 2, you're going to have a whole nother level of, modular aspects to it.
Like optics, silencers, stuff like that.
Yep.
That's going to be good. I guess everybody's sort of calming down. Chris Johnston, are there any unannounced Series 2 figures?
He knows better than to ask that question. If you've been following me for any time, you know that I always spring surprises and I'm always working on something. So what you saw at Joe Fest for Series 2 is not all of Series 2.
That's awesome. And then seeing, I think he, obviously he has his little iron
Steel Brigade.
or Steel Brigade. I don't know why I
Yep.
said iron. I was gonna say Iron Grenadier.
Iron-
Grenadier. But I think that's everybody's questions, guys. So since everybody's calmed down on the questions, I'm gonna wrap it up. So I mean, I want to thank everybody that's been watching, asking questions, participating in the chat. It means a lot. If you guys like what I did, if you like these one-on-ones, definitely hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, always gonna say subscribe. What? So real talk, were there any? So Shoki said, so real talk, were there any Cobra characters of color? Anyway.
I think there was very few. Few.
The Pursuit of Cobra. There's the dude with the Rottweiler.
Yeah, there was, but I'm looking at like vintage
wise.
A lot of guys wore masks, but I'll have to look. But it was rare.
What about like was it Lord? What I want to say it's Dacon or whatever, that guy.
Well, he had a mask. He
could have been. Maybe the
like I said, the majority of Cobra guys were fully covered, but the ones that weren't covered, the majority were Caucasian. I'll have to find one.
Come on, Destro's voice. I mean, yeah, he was showing that could have been just like a different undershirt or something, Oh, and we're getting a plug from Laser Pants saying Infinity Equation on Friday.
Oh, shameless plug. So, yeah, guys, come tune in Friday. We have a good time on that show.
Yeah, definitely do. Laser Pants is on there, Rectangular. And then you said your buddy's going to be on there as a guest, right?
Yeah, Alex Sanchez, big time comic guy, good friend of mine.
So, but all right, guys, I do thank you guys for tuning in as long as we've been going. Thank you, Bobby, as well, for taking me up on this one-on-one opportunity.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for commenting.
All right. And you guys, as I always say at the end of all my videos, I want you guys to have the best luck hunting, keep on collecting, and have a beautiful day.